Hi folks, and welcome back to Quarantine According to Eddie. It's Sunday the 28th of June, it's about 1:45 and I'm making the final Motorcycle Enquiries special, and this one is on safe riding. Obviously, it goes without saying that riding is a more dangerous way of travelling than driving or some other forms of transport, but with the right equipment and with the right ideas and the right attitude, you can really improve your chances, and you can also make use of some of the safety advantages that motorcycles have over cars. So let's start talking about motorcycle gear. In terms of the clothing that you need to wear, the only thing that you need to be legal to ride is a helmet. I mean, that's the only thing. However, I would recommend strongly that you have decent clothing and preferably motorcycle gear. It's all very well and good protecting your head with a helmet, it'll really improve your life chances. But don't forget, your bones, your skin, your internal organs are going to need protecting as well. The helmet's the only legal bit, but I would also recommend gloves as an absolute priority. You've got to have a helmet and gloves, I would say, at the very least. Very close second to that is a jacket. Now jackets are expensive, so it may take you a while to save up to get one, but they are worth their weight in gold. And then at the next tier down, trousers and boots. Again, I mean, I would go for all of this stuff, but I appreciate it's expensive, you may need to build your collection over time. So that's the order I would do it in. If you're not wearing full motorcycle gear because you're building up your collection, then in terms of jacket, I'd go for a heavy denim or some sort of strong fibre like that. Fashion leather jackets will not provide you with very much protection, very little more than denim, and in some cases even less because the stitching will tear and then it'll leave your skin exposed. So don't trust fashion leather. It'll probably be better than tracksuits or just a t-shirt or anything polyester, but not by much. Heavy denim is probably your best bet to go for. In terms of shoes, strong boots. Something like, big work boots, hiking boots, as long as they're not steel-toed, it's fine. But for my money, I would just get the whole lot. It may take a while to collect it, but get the whole lot. As far as I'm concerned, I go with ATGAT. All the gear, all the time. Helmet. Full face is definitely best. You've got to protect that face of yours. Some of you may have looks to give away, but if you're anything like me, you need all the help you can get. Replace it every 5 years. Or, if you drop it. If you wear one of these underneath, like a necker or a buff, something like that, it'll help stop the sweat and oil from your hair getting into the polystyrene, and it'll make the polystyrene a bit stronger for longer. This has got a pinlock visor. Pinlock visor is worth researching if you're riding in the winter or in the wet, because it helps stop the screen from fogging up. Gloves. Armoured knuckles. Double stitching all the way through. Means that if there is any kind of impact, they'll hold together. What happens if you fall off? You put your hands down to stop yourself. So get decent gloves. Replace them in years, or if they start to look worn, they may last a little bit longer depending on the quality, but don't be afraid to change them. Jacket. Whether it's leather or textile, armour at the shoulders, armour at the elbows. I've got a separate back protector that I wear that will fit into this jacket as well. Again, double stitched. It's not fashion leather this is proper motorcycle leather. Don't wear fashion leather on a bike, it won't last. Every 10 miles an hour that you go above 30 miles an hour, if you come off, you will lose a centimetre to an inch of skin. better that this protects you than losing this. Worth wearing, even when it's warm. Put it around your neck, up to your chin, because if nothing else, you don't want a wasp in your helmet. Trust me. Boots. Armoured at the ankles. Strong sole. Not steel-toed. You don't want steel-toed boots. Steel-toe boots are designed for crush from above. Impact from the front can cause the toe cap to curl in and cut your toes off. So, no steel-toed boots. Well fitted, and like all of my leather gear, waterproofed with wax. Trousers. Once again, double stitched. Armour on the hips and on the knees. Key crash points. Again, leather or textile, that's what you should be looking for. I prefer leather for many reasons, but especially for the abrasion. It'll protect you more if you're sliding down the road. Sorry vegans, but it's just how it is. Again, well fitted, but the right size so I can keep a pair of jeans on underneath. Because in winter, it gets cold. In fact, best thing you can do, get yourself down to a walking or hiking store, buy yourself a base layer, and lots of layers that'll fit underneath your gear. So make sure that you can fit at least a pair of jeans or thick trousers on underneath your riding trousers, and a shirt and a jumper or something similar underneath your riding jacket. This is one of my old helmets. I've taken all the lining out so I can show you why it is you need to change your helmet every 5 years. Now this helmet, let's have a look, I think is, yeah, it's about 7 years old. Now I ride in all weathers, so you know my helmets are going to get a little bit more wear than others, but I do look after them well. So this is a pretty good example of what a helmet will be like after sort of 5, 6, 7 years. Now have a look inside. This lining is polystyrene, and it's still a little bit squishy, but it's definitely feeling quite brittle now. Like, I can squish it and squeeze it. The whole point of it being able to squish and squeeze is that if your head gets smacked against the pavement, it'll squish rather than break. That's why you need to change a helmet after any impact, because if this gets damaged, the absorbency of any kind of impact is reduced massively. Look at this fitting here. You can see it's starting to go rusty. Now this fitting holds the visor on. It's only just starting to go rusty, and it's still fine, but it shows what's happening on the inside of your helmet. 5 years later, bit of rust building up. Now, as it happened, the reason I replaced this helmet was because I dropped it. You can see the scratches there, see the scuff there. It was coming up to the end of its life anyway, and I thought, I'm not going to risk it, because if that polystyrene was cracked, or if there was a crack in the plastic somewhere underneath, that could be my head that takes the impact instead. Full face is what I recommend. If you have open face, or if you're one of these people who rides around with a flipped up visor, you've got the full face bit but it's all flipped up, just remember, if you come off and you hit the ground, that's going to be your face rather than the helmet. So, bear that in mind. High-vis is a bit of a tricky one. High-vis is really good if it's kind of overcast, low light, raining or dark. The fluorescent material picks up the sunlight and kind of makes you glow, and it'll pick up headlights as well. Reflective material in the dark and in the wet again reflects headlights and it makes you stand out. But there are times where high-vis doesn't actually work. Sometimes if it's really bright, the kind of glowing effect of high-vis actually breaks up the lines of your body and your motorcycle and makes it harder for people to spot you. You have to think about the roads you're going to be on, and the conditions that you're going to be riding in. But it's worth having a high-vis jacket, but don't think you will always be safe for wearing it. Wear it to the conditions. As a rider, you are responsible for your own safety. Someone else could be at fault in an accident, but you're the one who's going to come off badly. So, you need to get into the right mindset. As a rider, you essentially need to take on the mindset of being prey. You are essentially road prey, and all other vehicles are predators. But if you take on that mentality, and you imagine that every vehicle is a threat to you, that you need to be ready to escape from or stop to, it makes you a lot safer. And certainly in the video that I'll be linking below, it's quite an old one, it's from the 70s, but it makes some really good points about that kind of thinking and how it helps. Now, motorcycles have got a couple of really big advantages over cars in terms of getting out of trouble if something starts to happen. You've got very quick braking if you do it properly, very quick acceleration to get away from stuff. You can turn quickly, you can get through small gaps, and you don't have your view restricted. So actually, in many ways, if you stay alert, you've got a lot of advantages in terms of spotting trouble. Things can go very bad for you if you get into a position of trouble, so your best bet is to stay out of it. A really common crash situation that can happen, and I think the most common between a rider and another vehicle, is a SMIDSy event. Sorry mate, I didn't see you. It's where a car driver or another rider or any vehicle doesn't see a motorcyclist approaching, or, importantly, misjudges where the motorcyclist is. And what happens is, for example, car comes up to junction, rider is coming along, and for a variety of reasons, the car does not see the rider, and you get an impact. Happens the other way as well. For example, if you've got a rider pulling out, or a rider coming out like that, and the car turns in, side swipe, or like so. These are the most common and often, unfortunately, deadly. So how do you avoid a SMIDSy from happening? Well, the first thing to do is to remember that car might not have seen you. Treat them like a predator. Treat them as being out to get you. So, car's coming up here, and you're coming towards them. What you can do is start to slow down. Off on the throttle to start with. And it's a good idea to cover the front brake. Don't need to squeeze, but cover it. Just be ready. So you're approaching. Does the car look like it's about to move? Is the driver looking at you? Are they looking somewhere else? Even if if you think they're looking at you, they may well not have seen you. So something else that you can do is something called the SMIDSy weave. You're approaching, and you just move a little bit in your lane, like that. Believe it or not, this makes a huge difference to how visible you are. For two reasons. One, moving objects catch people's attention. And particularly, if you move like this, as far as the car driver will see, if you've got your headlight on, it'll flicker a bit. It'll catch their attention. But there's another aspect to it as well. Have a look at this. Look how small the motorcycle appears to be as it approaches the camera, if it's coming directly at the camera. I've marked out 10 centimetre markings. Now I'm going to bring the motorcyclist straight towards the camera. You may have noticed, as I moved it at that speed, it starts off looking small and suddenly gets a lot bigger. There, all of a sudden it becomes big. That's really close to the camera. That's about 5 centimeters from the camera. It's called the looming effect. And to a car driver, if you're approaching them dead on, they may think that you're a long, long way away. That's also why they might pull across you. They might think, I've got time. But they don't. Watch what happens if I make the little motorcyclist weave. I'll go at the same speed as I did before. You can see where the motorcyclist is in terms of the distance much easier with a bit of a weave. It helps prevent that sudden looming effect. If you've watched my Motorcycle Enquiries videos, you might have actually seen me doing the Smidsy weave a couple of times if I've thought people are going to pull out in front of me. And you know what? It does catch people's attention. It's a good way to stay safe. Throughout all of this, hand over the front brake, off on the throttle. And if all else fails, go for the horn. Better that they think that you're a prat than to end up over their bonnet. One of the biggest things that you can do to protect yourself is to practice on your own bike. When I say practice, I mean go to a car park and practice emergency braking, swerving, and also U-turns. Slow speed work as well, so just clutch, a little bit of throttle, moving at walking speed, really controlling the bike. Because if you can really control the bike, particularly emergency braking, that can make a massive amount of difference. Your brain is wired to default to what it kind of knows instinctively in the event of a panic. Now, if you've practiced emergency braking, then you will default to emergency braking. If you've never practiced it, you might grab that front brake, down you go, particularly if you don't have ABS. This machine weighs over 1/4 of a ton. Now I can stop it very, very sharply, I can U-turn on it, and I know from experience that in an emergency braking situation I can default to a good stop rather than ending up on the pavement. A final thing to say about safe riding is think very carefully before you ride in a group. Think about who you're riding with and think about whether you're ready, to be honest, to ride in a group. It's very tempting when you're riding with a group to try and keep up with them, subconsciously maybe try to impress them. You could push yourself outside your capabilities, you can have a crash. The majority of fatal crashes on motorcycles are not involving other vehicles, believe it or not. They are single vehicle incidents. It's where someone has screwed up. Generally they brake too late before a corner. Either way, doesn't change the fact that it's taken another rider off the road. So, think carefully. And if you go out with a mate and they are reckless, don't ride with them again. Even if you have to make excuses, you know. Your safety is worth more than that. If you are going to ride as a group and you are happy to do that, do your own ride. Don't overtake because everyone else is overtaking. Wait. If everyone else is going off really quickly, you go at the speed that you're happy with. It's not up to you to keep up with them, it's up to them to accommodate you. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and if you've got any questions at all, please ask. I'd rather answer the same question 100 times than see another rider taken off the road. So, get in touch with me however, leave any questions or comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Hi folks, and welcome back to Quarantine According to Eddie. It is Tuesday the